This mimer on Daf Lamed base of Likutei Torah, it's very interesting. First of all, there's a lot of interesting points that the Rebbe brings out. There are a lot of diukim from the Rebbe on this mimer. One special thing is just the fact that it's printed on Daf Lamed base. And the Rebbe brings out why is it printed on Daf Lamed base of the Devarim part of Likutei Torah. Because, the way the printer was just thinking, he put it on Daf Lamed base. But everything in Torah, everything in the world comes from Hashem, and for sure in Indian Torah, even aside, call an ancillary Indian, there's something to learn from. And we know that Tanya, Perek Lamed base in Tanya, the Perek that talks about Ahavas Yisrael, is called the Lev of Tanya, the heart of Tanya. Lamed base 32 also means Lev. So too, the Rebbe says that the fact that this mimer was printed on Daf Lamed base of the Dvarim of Likutei Torah means that it's the Lev, one could say that it's the Lev of the Mishnah Torah of the Likutei Torah. We say that by the Rebbe's Efsher, the Rebbe saying it's possible means for us for sure. Now, Mishnah Torah, Dvarim is called Mishnah Torah for a reason. Moshe Rabbeinu goes over the entire Torah. On top of that, he's adding on behalf of all of the Jews, he's adding to the Torah, and through that he's adding a lot more Kedusha from above. So it has in it all of the Torah. So this, that it's the Lev specifically of the Dvarim of Likutei Torah, is also a very important thing because it makes it connected with all of the other parts of the Torah as well, all the other Moshe. Right, LeDodi Rosh Tevis Elul. There are a lot of different abbreviations for Elul. The most famous of them, the most widely used, definitely Chassidus, is LeDodi. And the way the Alter Rebbe explains it is that in Elul starts the level of Ani LeDodi. I am for my beloved. I am for Hashem. The Ayin of B'chinas Yisusu Dolasata, which is an awakening from below. Ad Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippurim, until Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, She'em B'chinas Hamshachas Likutei Yisbarach L'Mata, which Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur are the exact opposite. The Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur are days where Hashem's godliness is brought out down here in a very revealed way. There are a lot of people, at least it used to be true, but it's still true to a large extent. There are a lot of people who only go to shul on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Why? Something awakens them. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, and even for us, if somebody's feeling, let's say, very sick in the morning on a weekday morning, so maybe they'll daven at home an hour later or something like that. I'm not going to. They're feeling very sick. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, the person could be in whatever state. He's going to shul. There's no question about it. And that's because these are days where godliness is revealed. There's a push. It happens automatically, almost from above. Godliness comes out in a revealed way. Has in it all of Tishrei. It says Hashem's left hand is under my head. What's the idea of the left hand? To pick something up, to lift something. And that's what the Buddha is. First of all, we use the left hand, not the right hand. We use the weaker hand when it comes to pushing something away or pushing someone up in a way of Gevurah. But that's what Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is. Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is where are we holding? Now we're taking Hashem. Well, now we're taking on Hashem in a new way. We're pushing ourselves, and Hashem is pushing us up with Him. Yemina Yitzchak is afterwards. The Sukkah is Simchat Torah. This is the time right after Yom Kippur. Actually, comes a tremendous time of Simcha. Mitzvah Yom Kippur already begins the Simcha of Tishrei, which is Yemina Yitzchak From Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur is the level of Smeila, Hashem's left hand, the Chinaz Gira. which is the level of Yira. Our service to Hashem then is much more in the way of Yira. Because then it's the time of the revelation of Hashem's kingship. That's very interesting. There's a new mimer that they found from the Likutei Rebbe. It was said a month before the Rebbe's Chasana, Tavrish Peitas, and it's starts out Likutei Torah. And the Likutei Rebbe brings out, I'm going to it now actually, the Likutei Rebbe brings out how Malchus is very different from all the other midas. All of the other midas, a person is connected to the person that he's showing these midas for. And the same thing with Eibishter. When somebody's giving chesed to someone else, they care for them. When someone's giving gevura even to someone else, even if it's in a negative way or it's for their own benefit, whatever. But that's also a connection with the other person. It's not the optimal connection, but it's a connection. Malchus, the whole idea of Malchus is, like it's explained so many places in Chassidus, especially the Rosh Hashanah, the Richuka Erech is the king is separate from the nation, and the Likutei Rebbe brings out, was brought out in other places too, that if a king would have 1,000 sons, and he's supposedly king over them, he's not a king. He's not king over them because he's their father. It's too connected. And Ein Melech B'loi Am, there's no king without a nation. And Am is even Lashon Eimumus, like darkness, like something that's separate and lower. And it's because the king is so great that he's the king over them. And then the Likutei Rebbe connects that with mercy. But the first thing is mitzad ha'am, on the way the people are looking at it. This awakens a tremendous yira. So it comes out that in Elul, what we say Elul is Rashi Tevis, Ani LeDodi, LeDodi Li. I'm to my beloved is to me. The Ani LeDodi is Elul. We're doing for Hashem. Elul is not a time of great revelations. We're going to see that there is something in a minute. But in general, it's not so revealed, and we'll discuss it soon. And the LeDodi Li is what Elul leads to Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And as much as the Rebbe is medayik that a lot of the time the brachas and the amshachas from Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur are very much, the way that they're going to come out is very much dependent on our service in Elul, and the way we're going to receive them is very dependent in our service in Elul. But also, when it comes to Elul itself, the Rebbe says that from this, that the fact that Elul is the Rashi Tevis, Ani LeDodi, the LeDodi Li, are the Rashi Tevis of Elul. It means that the LeDodi Li, that Hashem is for us, is also a part of Elul. And we're going to see later, the Alter Rebbe mentions that Elul is also a special time. We're going to talk to him about the Yud Gimel Midas Rachamim. But he doesn't mention specifically that that's the LeDodi Li. And the Rebbe mentions that this is Eirus that happens, this awakening that happens from Hashem in Elul, which are the Yud Gimel Midas Rachamim, is the LeDodi Li part of Elul. That in Elul is not just a lead up to the LeDodi Li, but Elul has in itself the level of the LeDodi Li. In any case, let's go on in the Maimer. At a time where there's a lot of Yira because Hashem's kingship is revealed, we call him specifically HaMelech. Throughout the year we say Hakel HaKadosh. Kel, Shem Kel is the name of Chesed, and we're going to get into that very soon. But when we say Hakel HaKadosh, we're talking about Chesed. When we say HaMelech HaKadosh, and there's so many other prayers during the service to make tshuva, where it says HaMelech, in a lot of places, we're talking about our connection to Hashem is over and over again the fact that He's a Melech, and that brings out that it allows us to have hopefully a proper amount, some kind of yira throughout the whole year. And it's not just that we're calling Him Melech. In all the world, even in the highest world, it's revealed the tremendous richa ka'ech, the tremendous incomparable greatness of Hashem. Even in the hidden worlds which are higher than our natural understanding, falls on them the fear of the king and the pachad. There's all kinds of many different Hebrew words for awe. One denotes more of a trembling fear, one denotes a standing still, but it's all awe. Very interesting. The Bachrim in Lubavitch, probably then already a stuff, when the Tsar fell, they said, how will we have a proper mushal, how will we have a proper parable to understand Malchus? Because when you had a king who everyone knows that he has the power of life and death, and he's an absolute ruler, and people in the city, they see how the citizens, they see how the average person, whether he's a good king or a bad king, they see how much awe there is. And it's not an awe necessarily of what he's going to do because of what he's going to do or what he can do, it's just the awe of kind of majesty. And we understood that Malchus is the Arik and Malchus is the Rekiah. Now, usually we say this mostly on a Jewish king, but any true king, any true sovereign, you would say is a mushal in some way on Hashem, not on the goodness, not on what kind of king he is, but on the actual fact of Malchus. So it's interesting. This was the first thing when the Tsar was overthrown. It wasn't. They didn't start dealing with little things. They looked at it in a very spiritual way. How is it going to affect us spiritually? How are we going to recognize now? Have something right in front of our eyes, with which we can have a better understanding and a better feeling for, an inner feeling of Hashem's kingship. And it's not to say anything good about this time, by the way. What happens when the tremendous Malchus comes out in such a tremendous way in Tishrei and Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur? It affects the Jewish people down here, the Shomit Yisrael, down here in Gufim, are Mekabel El Malchus Shemayim, accept the kingship of Hashem. And his yira is on them. Kol Hashanah, not just then, but all of the year. Rosh Hashanah gives life force to all of the year. Every Yom Tov gives life force to the following year. And it says all the Yom Tovim are chayda, they come back every day. The idea every day of Rosh Hashanah is accepting Hashem's kingship. The Yom Kippur, taking stock before going to sleep. Rosh Hashanah is more when somebody gets up. Every Yom Tov, Shavuot, you're Mekabel the Torah every day. You're thanking Hashem for the Torah. You're taking it on in a new way, in a newly energized way. Sukkot, Hashem's protection, and that gives a lot of life. The one exception, by the way, Pesach, does not come back every day. It comes back every second. Because every second, a Jew is able to leave any limit in the spirituality that he has and come close to Hashem. But it's something that everyone is able to do in a second. And that's because the power from that above is from Pesach. Yiras Hashem v'avosei ein Shiur v'nesiyah b'lev ha'adam v'gei atzmo. The Yira and Avos Hashem that a person has, it's true, we have to work hard to do our own. And whatever we do, even though it's smaller, is much more precious. And that's the way it truly lands. But ideally, the little bit that we do is to bring down from above, that Hashem should help us. Because a person comes to make himself spirit, he's helped greatly from above. So
is being helped greatly. He wants to develop a little bit of yira inside of him by thinking about the greatness of Hashem and how this was just the greatness of Hashem in general, and then later how this greatness of Hashem relates to him and his service, that beyond the honor and the privilege to serve such a great king. That's the main part of service. But our hope is that Hashem then opens up his heart and opens up his mind, and the person is able to serve Hashem in a whole different way. The main part of Aviyira is what comes down. And so too, Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, every single day is feeling this tremendous yira for Hashem. And each one in their own way. And the more we open ourselves up to it, the more it's available for us. And this should not just last Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, but this should be a beginning and an opening for the whole year. And the main part of that comes from above. It comes down from it's a flow that comes down from above. The eighth is man is Shalusay. At a time that he's with Yov, and when is that during the year mostly? Daino Rosh Hashanah, which is on Rosh Hashanah, B'chinas Yira, which is a level of Yira. Now a person can also waken that up in the middle of the year, but the Kayach from that comes from Rosh Hashanah. In other words, on Rosh Hashanah, he's given the ability that if later on also he opens himself up to it, during Tammuz, during Av, whenever, then that kind of yira is available and able to come out. Then it gives a few different ma'amakim, a few different ma'amarim where this idea is explained more. The other thing is the Deidili, and that's the main level of the Deidili. So again, from the Alter Rebbe's Maimon, from this Maimon, it seems that Elul is Amilo Deidili, and the main Deidili is Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, which are enhanced by Elul. And the Rebbe's diak is that yes, but the Deidili is also an integral part of Elul, and that's why the Alter Rebbe is about to mention the Yud Gimel Midas Arachim. He doesn't call those the Deidili in this Maimon. It's the Rebbe's diak. Actually, so Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are fantastic. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur bring out the main part of Yira, but in order to have a proper Rosh Hashanah, a proper Yom Kippur, the first half of the Eira is to have the Yira, a person has to awaken the Av of the Yira through an awakening from down here, through us starting the process, which is during Elul. The Rebbe also says that people who don't, we have to do a very, we have to take Elul very seriously. In the back of Tillim, there are a bunch of letters from the Likutei Rebbe, and some of them are very interesting about Elul. It says, by the way, in Likutei Torah that Shabbos Mevachim Elul, Hashem Yitlos that Tshuva Vin. And the Babish already felt in the wind of Tshuva, and just everyone was waking up. Shabbos Mevachim Elul to do Tshuva, and they got up early and discussed the whole process, the Tillim, and Mikra, everything. But in the back of the Siddur, it's the Likutei Rebbe's letter explains that Elul is also the same letters as the word Lule. It says Lule is Mamanu by Yaakov Avinu when he was when he sent his sons when his sons went to Mitzrayim to get food, and Shimon was taken. He wanted to go back to get Shimon after Binyamin, and he said no, and they stayed in Ez Canaan until there was no hope. They had to go back, and they said at this point, Lule is Mamanu. If we wouldn't have waited, Shavnu Zeh Pamayim. We would have returned already twice. So it says Lule is Mamanu, is Rosh Tevis, as not Rosh Tevis. Lule is also the word Elul. It's the same letters. And if we, in Elul, if we're Mamanu, if we sit and we wait, if we reflect on ourselves in Elul, then we'll have two tshuvas. We'll have the tshuva of Rosh Hashanah, which is the general, we accept Hashem's kingship, and we'll have the tshuva of Yom Kippur, which is where we say we're going out of all of our particular different deficiencies. And that's another pirush on Shavnu Zepa'amoyim, that two different types of tshuva. And that's through reflecting on oneself in Elul. It's known that Elul, though, it's not just the preparation for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, it's the time of his galus of Yud Gimel Midas Rachman. And it's just, the Alter Rebbe is not specifying that this is the LeDodi part. That's what the Rebbe did. If so, why are they weekdays? We're going to explain this in a second. They ain't Yantiv, and they're not a Yantiv. May Shabbos is the Yantiv. Like Shabbos and Yantiv. Shabbahem is Galos Alikus, Bechinas Ha'aretz Alikus Yisbach. On Shabbos and Yantiv, you have a revelation of godliness. On Shabbos, you have a revelation of Chachmah. On Shabbos, it says that mostly throughout the week, the world felt that it's created by Eisis Hadibur, by Hashem's speech, which feels separate from Hashem, even though the way Hashem looks at it, obviously there's no separation. But the way the Nivra, the way the creation feels, he's coming out of Hashem's Dibur. And that's the roots of creation during the week. On Shabbos, Eisis Machshav, letters in the head. Now, thoughts are very much connected with the person. They feel how they're part of the person. So it says that Shabbos, the whole world feels more holy. And Amor, it's in the Yachal Shakir, that somebody who, even if he doesn't follow Torah so much, he doesn't know about Torah things, but at least on Shabbos he's also affected. He's not able to lie. Now, this is also why we don't do work on Shabbos or Yom Tov. If you're standing in front of the king, you can't do work. There's a story in Gemara with one of Chazal was debating with an Apikaris, and this Apikaris was one time making signs in front of the king, and the king, they said, "Man b'mechve b'mocha kamim malko chayv misa." A person who's making all of these signs, like doing weekday kind of stuff, doing simple stuff in front of the king, while he's standing in front of the king in the royal chamber, is actually chayv misa. So Shabbos and Yom Tov, we refrain from certain things. Now, if Elul is a time of his galus Yud Gimel Midas Rachman, of the revelation of Yud Gimel Midas Rachman, why is it not a weekday? And then we're going to end up here. We're going to finish off in a second. But Shabbos is man Yud Gimel Midas Shehem Ha'aretz Al Yenis Me'ez. Yud Gimel Midas Rachman are very, very high. They're higher than taking responsibility. If they come out, why isn't the weekday? They aim is Galam Yom Kippurim. The Yud Gimel Midas Rachman come out. The Galam is in the Yud Yom Kippur. The Vada is Hefesh Gadol being Yom Kippurim being Elul. And for sure, there's a big difference between Elul and Yom Kippur. The answer to this is that the Melech comes out into Hashem comes out into all of our weekday things during Elul to make sure that our mundane life is dedicated to Hashem. And the muscle on that is a melech in a field, that he's not in his royal palace, he's out in the field, and then everyone's able to see him, and he accepts people in a different way, and the Rebbe's many on all these different points, and Bezos Hashem will continue.